Our tale commences in the dense forests of Wakanda, where Black Panther was instructing some of his pupils on the intricacies of Wakandan technology when, without warning, a rhino charges into view. Black Panther and his students only just managed to evade the rhino's attack. However, Black Panther observes that the spot from which the rhino emerged was actually a portal, and as he steps closer to it, he senses that something lies waiting on the opposite side of that gateway. Yet as he crosses through to the other side, his eyes go wide with astonishment because he discovers that his entire surroundings have shifted to a vivid red. But the most startling sight is directly in front of him, a duplicate Earth speeding toward this one. Before Black Panther can make sense of the situation, individuals from that alternate Earth materialize and stand before him. The woman at the front introduces herself as Black Swan and explains that what he is witnessing is called an incursion, and unless they intervene, both planets will crash into each other and be obliterated. That is why she has arrived to annihilate one of them. Yet Black Panther declares that as long as he draws breath, she will never succeed in destroying that Earth. In response, Black Swan's forces open fire on him. Black Panther manages to shield his companions and flee the scene, then circles back and launches an assault on Black Swan and her followers. He systematically takes down Black Swan and her allies one after another. But abruptly, amid the chaos of combat, Black Swan's weapon discharges by accident, resulting in the total destruction of the Earth from which Black Swan originated, right before Black Panther's eyes, and in an instant the environment around him reverts to its normal state. But after taking in everything he has witnessed, Black Panther realizes that their ordeal is far from finished, so he summons his fellow Illuminati members to that location. The Illuminati was a coalition of extraordinary heroes comprising Reed Richards, Black Bolt, Captain America, Black Panther, Tony Stark, Doctor Strange, and Namor. Once they assemble in Wakanda, Black Panther recounts every detail of what he observed. Following his narration, Mr. Fantastic goes to meet Black Swan, whom Black Panther had apprehended and placed in confinement. Upon reaching her, Reed inquires about the true nature of these events. Black Swan tells him that this phenomenon is an incursion, which is actually a minuscule fragment of a much grander scheme. She elaborates that throughout the entire multiverse, there exist numerous universes, each containing an Earth, and all these Earths maintain a state of equilibrium with one another. However, sometime in the past, one of those Earths suddenly self-destructed, and because of that, the equilibrium among all the Earths across the multiverse was thrown into disarray. As a result, all the Earths began drifting toward each other and crashing together, and they termed this occurrence an incursion. Black Swan informs him that although they had obliterated one Earth, another incursion would materialize shortly, and in this manner they would have to confront incursions repeatedly, until their own Earth was ultimately destroyed. Reed relays this entire account to his comrades. Upon hearing it, Tony Stark and Doctor Strange start formulating their strategies to put a stop to this entire crisis. Reed also mentions that he has examined the weapon Black Swan brought along, and if he can replicate its design, they might be able to destroy the approaching Earths. But eliminating another Earth meant eradicating all life on it. Hearing this, Captain America outright refuses to participate in such an action. He tells them all that he would never condone this, not while any other alternative remained. He opens his palm and reveals an Infinity Stone, and then the Illuminati recollects that each of them possesses an Infinity Stone which they had distributed among themselves after defeating Thanos. After this revelation, everyone concurs that they should reconstruct the Infinity Gauntlet and employ it to halt the impending incursions. Prior to carrying out their plan, each Illuminati member departs for their respective homes to retrieve their Infinity Stones. Making use of this interval, Reed once again visits Black Swan to converse with her and extract additional insights about the incursions. But Black Swan tells him that she is aware they are assembling the Infinity Gauntlet, yet she questions how long they will be able to repel the approaching incursions. Before Reed can answer or reflect on her statement, an alert suddenly flashes on his radar indicating that another incursion is taking place. All the Illuminati members converge at the site of the incursion, where, upon arrival, they witness the very same spectacle that Black Panther had observed shortly before. The superheroes each produce their Infinity Stones. By merging them, they recreate the Infinity Gauntlet and resolve that Captain America will be the one to don it. Because among all those heroes, Captain America was the only one devoid of pride and power, and thus capable of managing the Infinity Gauntlet's might with relative ease. Captain America approaches the gauntlet and places it upon his hand. The instant he does so, he experiences the energy of all the Infinity Stones flowing through his body. Before the Infinity Gauntlet can overcome him, he harnesses that very power to shove the alternate Earth away from their own. But in order to achieve this, Captain America must expend every ounce of his strength and the Gauntlet's complete capacity. Just as he senses that the other Earth is being repelled by the Gauntlet's force, a colossal explosion suddenly occurs, and in that blast, the Infinity Gauntlet along with all the Infinity Stones attached to it are destroyed, with the sole exception of the Time Stone, which abruptly vanishes from the Gauntlet. After witnessing this, all the superheroes present fall into a state of intense panic, because although they had used the Gauntlet to push that Earth away, they now possessed nothing to counteract the remaining incursions. Following the cessation of that incursion, they all return to Wakanda. Reed once more raises the subject of the weapon, but Captain America once again stands firm and tells him that as long as he lives, he will never permit them to carry out such an act, because their purpose was to safeguard people, not to slaughter them. He reminds them that every individual in that room was genuinely a superhero, and if they were to take any planet's life or any human's life, they would forfeit their humanity forever. But unexpectedly, Doctor Strange rises from his seat and assaults Captain America. Through Doctor Strange's enchantment, Captain America loses all his memories. Everything that had transpired in the past few hours is entirely erased from Captain America's mind. After removing Captain America from the equation, they examine Black Swan's weapon, refine it further, and the following day they advance toward the Incursion. Yet upon arriving, they observe that this Incursion is actually blue in hue rather than red. Observing this, Black Swan remarks that this is the handiwork of the mapmakers who are presently attacking the realm of Aria, but the mapmakers are completely unaware that Latveria is governed by Doctor Doom, who is defending his kingdom with relative ease at that moment. After seeing this, Black Swan and the other superheroes move toward the alternate Earth. Upon arrival, Black Swan clarifies that the mapmakers are beings who exploit incursions to completely drain any Earth of its resources, which is why no life subsists on this Earth. After hearing this, Black Panther seizes the weapon and fires it, resulting in the complete destruction of the other Earth, and in this manner, they manage to halt another incursion. But shortly thereafter, another incursion manifests above the Earth. Upon reaching that alternate Earth, they discover that it is entirely under Magneto's dominion, with mutants governing that world. But before they can come to any decision, they notice beings who are capitalizing on that incursion to drain that Earth, and they depart from that Earth, because they are aware that Galactus will annihilate that Earth by himself. These superheroes have thus far successfully shielded their own Earth, but they recognize that if they wish to preserve their planet, they will inevitably have to demolish some Earths, and that entails destroying all life on them as well. And this was an immensely consequential move for any superhero, but they were fully aware that if they intended to protect their Earth, they would have to abandon their humanity. And so all the superheroes began to exert their utmost efforts. For example, Doctor Strange, who trades away his entire soul in exchange for even greater power. And shortly after, they proceed to another Earth to protect their own from yet another incursion. Upon arrival, they learn that the protectors of that Earth bear a striking resemblance to members of the Justice League, one of whom is called Sun God, who is much like Superman, and another is literally similar to Batman. All the superheroes attempt to engage in dialogue with each other, thinking that if they cooperated, perhaps they could rescue both Earths from this incursion. But Namor understands the harsh reality. He knows what is required in such a situation. After a moment's deliberation, he strikes Batman, and in this way, a ferocious conflict erupts among all those superheroes. Sun God is a complete counterpart to Superman, which is why he is overwhelmingly dominating all the Illuminati. But then Doctor Strange employs his newly acquired power, with which he summons a bizarre serpentine demon that seizes all those superheroes and begins draining their abilities, thus eliminating the defenders of the other Earth in a single stroke. But Doctor Strange's powers are not under his own control, which is why Tony Stark attacks him and renders him unconscious. After doing this, they set up their weapon to destroy that Earth, and Black Panther takes the trigger of that weapon in his hands and resolves to activate it. But depressing that trigger is not so easy, because Black Panther is a king, and a king's duty is to protect people, not to end their lives. With this in mind, Black Panther casts aside the trigger, stating that he could never perform such an act. Reed approaches him and says he understands Black Panther's position. But suddenly, Namor picks up the trigger and informs them that if they are unable to defend this Earth, then Namor will do it himself. And with that, he activates the weapon, and the other Earth along with all life on it is annihilated in an instant. After witnessing this, all the superheroes are profoundly shaken because although they had devised a plan, taking so many lives in one fell swoop was beyond the capacity of any of them. This is why, upon seeing all this, they are deeply horrified. Black Panther becomes extremely enraged by the sight and strikes Namor forcefully. After witnessing all this, they banish Namor from their ranks. Following Namor's departure, they understand that another incursion will occur shortly, and after realizing that none of them possess the fortitude to take so many lives all at once, they accept their fate and go to spend their final moments with their loved ones. Some individuals overcome their inner demons. Some finish reading one final book, some go to their children, and some lose themselves in alcohol. But the incursion they had been anticipating for so long never arrives, and then they come to understand that Namor had also prevented the subsequent incursion because he had established his own faction called the Cabal, in which he had incorporated Thanos and his Black Order, as well as Galactus's Herald. And they all had a single mission, to eliminate all Earths except for this one. If you enjoyed the video, please like and share it, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I will upload its next part very soon. Thanks for watching.